Welcome to Bookish Meet the Author. I am Ebony Haywood, and the show was created by Clarissa Burt. I am happy to have author Leora Leon here with me today. How are you, Leora?
I'm great, Ebony. How are you?
I'm doing good, and you're going to talk to us today about your latest book, The Powers in You. And let's just dive. Oh, there it is. Thank you. Why don't you say something so the camera actually pops on you?
Yeah, this is the Powers in You workbook, and took me probably 10 years in the making to get this book out, but it's a super easy read. Chapters are 1 to 2 to 3 paragraphs long, and then at the end of every chapter, you've got a questionnaire. And so I walk you through basically all of the elements that help you change your life.
Great. So tell us what this book is about, because you mentioned it's going to help you change your life. How is your book going to help us change our life?
Well, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a shaman, Reiki master, channel, life coach, all of those things. I've been studying metaphysics my entire life. And I do past life regressions as well. So through my education, my formal education, and then my spiritual, metaphysical education, and through channeling information from my guides, the universe, my higher self, I was always a guru of self-love. And 10 years ago, before it was even popular, I was doing Love Yourself, Change Your Life, which is what this book started to be, is Love Yourself, Change Your Life. And basically, that is the crux of everything that you need. You have to love yourself. And people say, well, what does that mean? And loving yourself is the optimization of body, mind, spirit, thoughts, words, and actions. So what I did is I changed the name, Love Yourself, Change Your Life, because everybody's love yourself now. Everybody, love yourself, love yourself. And so now I put it to the powers in you, because your existence, your physical existence in this physical reality at this time, you create every thought, every word, every action, everything that you do, you create your existence. So when people are like, well, I didn't create cancer, I didn't create, my child dying, I didn't create divorce, I didn't create, disease. Well, guess what? You did. My belief system is that before you come into this existence, you choose what you want in your life, like how many lessons that you want to learn. And you may go, I want to take on this much, which a lot of us, as you know, probably you too, you took on tons of it. And you're like, oh my God, what was I thinking, right? But everything we put in front of us is what we chose to learn the lesson. And so in my book, I break it down into the science. And basically, I start out talking about the math, the science of, and the physics is what I'm trying to say, the physics of why we're here and what we're doing. So back in 2012, scientists discover something that they called the God particle, which is weird for scientists to even talk like that, because scientists speak not in terms of God or anything like that, or belief systems. But the God particle they found, the Higgs boson particle, is that in everything on this planet that isn't fabricated, actually, or genetically modified, but everything, stones, rocks, animals, humans, we all have one particle within us, and that is the God particle. And that tells us that we, the planet Earth, the multiverse, we're all one living, breathing entity. And it says that everything about us is that we are all one. So if you love yourself, you love everybody. And so this book teaches you about love, and it first gives you the scientific background. It talks about meditation. It talks about the chakras, the systems of the chakras. I even go into past life experience, which some people don't believe, but when I had my show, The Powers in You, I interviewed some woman named Lynn K. Russell, who interviewed 2,500 people that had near-death experiences. And once you're out of the body, you're like, wow, I understand it all. Like, I get it. So anyhow, that's what the book is about. I know that was a long-winded answer, but
Well,
I
yeah.
hope that explains it.
Well, let's take some of those parts and try to unpack them. So let's start with
Fan.
the healing and the past life regression. So past life regression, I think you mentioned a lot of people kind of look at that as woo wooey, and is that for real? I mean, some people don't believe in reincarnation, and so can you tell us a little bit about how this can help us? Past life regression helps us heal.
Yeah. So I do a lot of past life regressions, and it's interesting because I'm going to Poland to teach, which is my third time over there, and they're very indoctrinated into the Catholic religion. So the priests basically feel that yoga is a sin, so they're real like dark ages when it comes to, and actually now they're, becoming enlightened and beautiful, wonderful people there. But your belief system, if it's not centered, if it's centered in the dogma of religion, you're not going to believe that you are all powerful, that you are part of the God source. You're going to believe there is only one God, and that this is the only life you have. I actually, when I was in my 20s, I had a near-death experience where I was in a boating accident and I was under the water for 20 minutes and I left my body. I woke up under the water and fish are going by and, plants wafting in the water. And I look over and I see my body just hanging there. And then all of a sudden, I just get this download, boom, 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 of science, of art, of all these things, languages I didn't even understand. And I was under the water for 20 minutes out of my body. And at one point I heard a voice say, listen, you've got to go back in. Your body can't withstand being out of, oxygen for more than this time. And I said to the voice, I go, what do I do? And then at that time, a light appeared and it said, you can go here or you can go back in your body. And without even thinking, I just put my head back in, and then I went back in and I came up. And people don't believe that I was out of my body for 20 minutes under the water. But this woman that I spoke about, Lynn K. Russell, she interviewed 2,500 people and then did clinical cases where doctors in the medical field had said, we have had patients wake up in the morgue. They have pronounced dead for 24 hours in the friggin' morgue. So what that tells me, and that experience, is that we have other existences. And then if almost all religions, except for Christian and Catholic, believe in past life, Buddhism, Taoism, Allah, what is that? But anyhow, most all of them believe in past lives. And even in the Bible, before they took some of the things out, they said that man comes in again and again and again. So what I do with past lives, I found that everything that we carry, everything with this life and everything with our past lives, we carry energy. So say you're a caveman and you kill your wife, and then you get eaten by a dinosaur, you carry that energy. So as physical beings right now, you and I, we look through a lens of energy from our childhood all the way to now. So if you were abused as a child, or you had trauma as a child, or even a young adult, you look through that lens. How you pick a mate, you look through that lens, right? So, and the same with all of these different lifetimes. And so say for in this example, there's something in this life that you love. Like I love Japanese art at one point. And I couldn't understand why until I found out. I was doing Reiki and I found out that I indeed had a life in Japan. I was a Japanese fisherman. And so I said, wow, or there's things in your life that you have never been exposed to that you have an automatic love for, or people that you meet, you either love or you hate them, like instantly. Those are people that are in your soul group. So the closest thing that I can to let people know that it's real is looking into near-death experiences. And so with past life, what you do and what I do is with my clients, I put them in a meditative state, the theta state. And then we go back to some childhood things, and then we go back beyond. And I say 95% of my clients have had past life experiences, and they wake up and some of them like, oh my God, I didn't realize I had good life, in these places. And I had one woman that's on my website, if you want to go there, leoraleon.com. And she went back to a childhood memory where she was sexually molested. And then she went into 3 different lifetimes where she was in some type of sex work slave, like she was in a harem. She was all these different lives where she was being abused sexually. So, and she was literally crying. And you could see when you live that life, when you relive or experience of that, you're releasing that energy. And we release past life energy and current life energy all the time in our dreams. If you have a dream that's like so real and you keep going back and back to it, if you have a day where you're just depressed and you're like, why am I feeling this way? Something triggered some kind of past life thing. So that's kind of the healing. I found it. I worked with Dr. Brian Weiss, and that's how I got certified. And he's, aside from Dolores Cannon, he's one of the most well-known past life regression therapists. And I went to see him, gosh, now about 5 years ago in Pasadena here with I think, God, like 900 people. And I sat right up close and he took me under, and I had a past life of being in Roman times. And my friend was my fiance, and we were going to get married in his village. And my current husband, he rode in with the barbarians and told one of his henchmen to get off his horse and whispered something. The guy told us to get down on our knees, and he chopped our heads off. Now, why this is important, my entire life, I had neck pain. And my friend in this life, he had neck pain, and he died actually during COVID. But when that happened at lunch break, so Dr. Weiss did this past life with this huge group, and I went immediately under and regressed and regressed. At lunchtime, I'm like, oh my God, my neck pain is gone. So not only do we release physical pain, we release emotional pain as well. So I got to tell you about, I'll answer some more questions, but something, I just had another near-death experience 2 weeks ago, and totally changed my life again.
Well, that's our next question is going to be about near-death experiences. So, near-death experiences can heal. I think you mentioned this. You can heal the entire body physically. Is this correct?
It can, well, near-death experiences give you, they don't do the healing, but well, they do in a way, because what it does, when I went out of my body under the water, I realized who I was in the multiverse. I realized what it was like. It's not just planet Earth, and it's not just this physical realm. It's this all-knowing God source. You are part of the God source out of your physical body. That voice that you hear in your head that says, Ebony, do this, or don't do this, or stop, or whatever, that's your higher self. That's your Dumbledore and your Harry Potter, right? It's guiding you, right, through everything. So this recent past life, I had been going through some really severe emotional trauma for the past 3. It had to do with my husband and everything, and I found out, he wasn't being faithful, and so it destroyed me. And for the past 3 months, I hadn't been able to get out of it. I just couldn't. And it was so, like I was depressed. All the work that I did from my book, I was meditating 2-3 times a day and doing the work. And I couldn't get out of this feeling of just distraught pain. Well, and my childhood was really severe as well, like really, really bad. Physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, all of that. And that all got me where I am today. So the thing about this is, so I go on a hike with my daughter. We had just gotten back from Italy, and it's hot here, 91 degrees. And where are you? Are you in Los Angeles?
Yeah, I'm in the high desert, Lancaster.
Okay, yeah. I'm in Downey, so we're kind of close. Yeah. But I went up to Griffith Park, and this was last Saturday, and it was 91 degrees. And so we get there, and I'm super hot, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I hike all the time. I go up Angeles Forest and hike, you know, Switzer Falls and all that. You and I should go hiking. But anyhow, so I'm going up there and I'm having a hard time and I'm stopping and she's like, okay, Mom, you know, you all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just super hot. So we get up to one point where these trees and I'm resting under the shade of the trees. And of course I was probably still jet lag and just still distraught about everything going on. And I said, I got to sit down. So I sit down and then blood pressure's fine, everything. Okay, I'm going to go the rest of the way. So I said, give her my hand and I'm like, help me up. And as soon as I get up, I start going out and I go, I'm going down, and boom, all went dark and I fell down. And immediately I knew I died and I knew I was out and I was out of my body and I was okay with it. I'm like, oh, I feel so good. And I know I'm dead and that's okay. And that's the way you feel when you're out of your body and you die. And off in the distance, I could hear screaming, but I didn't even care. I just was going on my way. And then I heard this mom screaming at the top of her lungs. And when I went right back into the body and I'm like, what's wrong? Is there a bug on me? And so immediately I went back into thinking that I fainted and I had a seizure. So the tongue was out, my eyes were bugged out, I was shaking. And here I thought when I was back in the physical, I just fainted because, you know, sometimes when you get up, you get lightheaded. So I had a heat stroke seizure, which probably I didn't go to a doctor or anything because I kind of knew what was going on. And I knew that I had an out of body experience. Hearing her shriek. And at that moment when I was out and something told me, she cannot handle right now, you dying. So, and I went right back in. So that night I had this headache on the top of my head and everything. And then the next morning I woke up and I was in pure bliss. All of the pain that I've been feeling for the past 3 months. And this wasn't just about the husband cheating thing. This had pulled my entire childhood, all of the abandonment issues, all of the, you know, things that happened, the negative things with my mother had all come in to this whole cheating thing, right? So it wasn't just this part of it. It was being abandoned, being lied to, being deceived, you know, having someone being deceitful with you and treating you bad and all that. It all came full circle. But the next day I was calm. And I completely then, it was like the universe said to me and my higher self said, hey, listen, B word, you know, you're not doing the work. You're not getting through this. We're going to help you. And sure enough, right out of my body. And the minute that I was out, the minute I understood why I was here, who I was in the multiverse, and who we all are, it put a sense of calm over me. And I have been happy since. I have been feeling calm, relaxed. So, you know, for me, because I'm kind of like in a different genre, I needed that extra push. Right. But so there I did. And so I called up Lynn K. Russell and I said, oh my God, I just had another one. And she goes, oh, when you have one, it's possible to have many. I know some people that have had 11 near-death experiences in one life. So anyhow, I'm grateful. And now I have developed a healing program where, and it's not a program, it's a healing session where I don't go into past life. I go into childhood and all the way up and I work on trauma because I didn't realize I was dealing with that trauma. I thought I had healed it all, right? You know, we do all our stuff and we learn from this and we learn and we read and do all that. But there's this subconscious layer of energy that we're not even aware of. So now I'm focusing on giving people that past life regression, but only healing the emotional or physical trauma in this life.
Wow.
I just started to develop it. So I'm excited.
So is that a part of the teaching conference coming up?
I will be. I will be. And that's something that they told me, like in my meditations every day, they're like, you got to develop this and this is how you're going to do it. And I actually did one on my daughter, and it really helped her. It calmed her. And, because in the past life regression itself, you do go to childhood and you bring some things out, and then you go beyond to go into the past lives. But this way, I'm just focusing on current life.
So, I just before we talk more about because I know you have a teaching conference coming up in Poland and then in Bali, just going back to that past life, not the past life, but the near-death experiences. So it sounds like if you have, or when you have a near-death experience and then you come out of it and then you feel at peace in this state of bliss, do you think it's because you've seen that death isn't so scary and bad and painful? It's just
Yeah.
a release and an enter into a new life mode.
Well, you go back to the God source.
Okay, yeah.
You are part of out of this physical body, you are part of the God source. We all are. And when you're out of it, it is like being in room temperature jello, just floating, and you feel nothing but love. And that's where we want to be. We want to be as close to our higher selves in that vibration of love. That's our goal in this life. From the time we're born, that's our goal in all our lives, to evolve and to go to the point to where we have hit the God source again. Because we start up in the divine, then we come down to some kind of planet where we're preparing to go into a physical. Then we go into the physical, and we start out as cavemen, end up somewhere like Gandhi, and somewhere in the middle, we start to awaken and we start to realize why we are here. And the reasons we come down are different. Everybody comes down for a different reason. Some come down, I came down with the group that was in this metaphysical awakening, where we were kind of awakened around 2012 and this whole boom came in. You came in for another reason. So, and it could be still a new higher level of physical or a spiritual awakening as well. So we all come down. Sometimes we just come down to experience the physical, because when you take away the pain and suffering, what's better than planet Earth? I mean, we have beauty here. You go to the ocean, you go to the mountains, take away all that unhappiness or discomfort or disease or whatever we're carrying. We have beauty here. And that's our goal, is to get here, to find our Dharma. And our Dharma is our purpose in life that serves others, our passion. Whatever our passion is, do that. And in doing that, we're serving others.
Okay, that's a beautiful message. So tell us, Leora, about your upcoming conference in Poland.
Well, in October, I'm going to Poland for 2 weeks, and I'm doing a conference back to back, basically with the women of Poland. I have a pretty big following there, and I've been there several times to teach. I have my book translated into Polish and into Spanish, but so I'm going there, and the Polish people, they're just so warm-hearted, and they're the most loving people. These Polish people have lived through World War II. I went to Auschwitz, and oh my God, when you see, and then even before that, they have had war, the Bolshevik Revolution, and all these things. These people, they're beautiful, spiritual, loving people, and have gone through everything. And they just want to give to you and, evolve. So I'm going there. Yeah.
And then you have one in Bali.
And so, next spring of next year, I'm going to Bali to set it up. But a friend of mine, she imports all of these things from Bali, and she has her own line of lotions, which are amazing. We're going to go there. And in October, again, we plan on having a retreat, which will be a 5-day retreat where you go and it's total immersion. No cell phones, no nothing. You go and you're going to go in one way and come out. It's an enlightenment journey. And then in Bali, what a better place than Bali, other than the bugs that I've seen on TikTok in Bali. But that's like, they go, I wanted to come to Bali, and you see this gigantic spider, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah.
Well, hopefully they will stay clear away from you while you're teaching, at least, the bugs.
Oh, I know.
But otherwise, yeah, hyperbole is beautiful. So that's exciting that you are going to be traveling the world teaching this wonderful message of healing. This is wonderful.
Well, and it's going to be about my book. And, you know, one of the things that I talk about in my book, and I touched on it briefly, but it's, you are what you create, and to be at the optimum of physical, mental, and spiritual. And that means taking care of your body, you know, eating the right foods, exercising, reading things that are good, bringing in positive input, you know, into your brain, and then meditating every day, you know, doing things, being in nature, and then being in the vibration of love of your thoughts, words, and actions. You know, when you're driving in LA and somebody cuts you off, and what do you want to do? And instead you send them peace, you know, because that's where you are, staying in that vibration of love. And that's what the book is about. And it's just a super easy book to read, and it's available on Amazon.
Okay, that I was going to ask you, where can we find you and your book? So we can find the book on Amazon. Where can we learn more about you?
And about me, I have my website, leoraleon.com. And I've got a lot of things there that you can sign up for, all kinds, everything that I teach. And I teach everything. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Leora. This was wonderful.
Well, thank you, Ebony, for having me. And we got to go hiking since you're my neighbor.
I know. I have to be honest, I have a fear of heights. And
Oh, okay.
I try to stay away from hiking very like steep inclines.
Well, Switzer Falls is down. I
Okay.
mean, and it could only be 3 miles. Like, you could just go down, and it crosses creeks. And I've seen, you know, deer, and just all beautiful. It's beautiful down there. So, and
Okay.
you know what? That fear of heights is something that I had. And
Yes.
this is a
Oh,
past life thing. We should
yeah.
do a past life on you and see what happens. If you
Yeah.
want to, I'll give you a free past life.
Let's talk after we say
Okay.
goodbye to our audience. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Bookish. I will see you next time. And thank you again, Leora.
Thank you.